They still wake up early, wade through traffic, and spend the entire day trying to sustain a dream that no longer exists. Ordinary workers, anonymous faces of an America that was once synonymous with progress, now sleep inside cars in supermarket parking lots, the very places that, until recently, symbolized abundance. Beneath the cold glow of open 24 hours signs, families who have lost everything but the hope of a new beginning multiply. The landscape has changed, wide avenues and quiet. Suburbs hide a new kind of despair, that of the collapsing middle class. Houses with for sale signs, entire neighborhoods in silence, lit up storefronts masking an economy in ruins. The American dream, once built on hard work and faith in the future, is now paid for in endless installments. Nothing collapsed overnight. The decline spread like a fog, invisible, silent, but relentless. While consumption grew, wages froze. While GDP rose, purchasing power plummeted. What was once pride became resistance. What was security became fear, and it is in this contrast between light and darkness, abundance and scarcity, that the doubt arises that no one wants to face, but which already echoes in the streets and in the pockets of millions. Are we witnessing the end of the American middle class, or the beginning of something even darker? In this video, we'll reveal the signs that are already visible, but that almost no one notices. Before we move on to the next chapter of this investigation, a simple request. If this topic has made you look at America differently, subscribe to the channel. Here, each video reveals a side that rarely makes the headlines, the geography that shapes history, the economy, and people's destinies. Leave your like so more people can discover what's really happening behind the American map. And now, get ready, because what comes next will completely change the way you see this country. Official statistics still insist on painting a stable picture, but the streets tell a different story. In the parking lots of large supermarkets, families sleep in converted vans, while in formerly middle-class neighborhoods, the lights in the windows go out earlier and earlier, not by choice, but by economics. The United States, once the cradle of modern prosperity, now silently watches the erosion of its own foundation, the common worker. In cities like Detroit, Phoenix, and Portland, food bank lines have doubled in length. Small businesses are closing, replaced by available for lease signs. Young graduates are accumulating student debt they'll never be able to pay off, and retirees are returning to the informal market to supplement an income that can't keep up with the cost of survival. The middle class, once the engine of the economy, has become the shock absorber of a system that's lost its balance. In the still inhabited homes, conversations revolve around cuts: less energy, less meat, less fuel. The word stability has disappeared from everyday vocabulary, replaced by expressions like survival and improvise. And while the news prefers to discuss figures and promises, the real country bleeds silently behind the scenes. Collapse, therefore, is no longer a distant hypothesis. It is alive and breathing in every street corner, growing with every insufficient salary and every unexpected layoff. Do you still believe this crisis is temporary? Or have you already realized it's knocking at your door? Write in the comments what you're seeing happening where you live. While experts try to justify the crisis with technical terms and economic reports, there's a silent mechanism operating behind the scenes. It wasn't mere chance that brought millions of families to the brink of collapse. Behind the narrative of global instability and natural market readjustment lies a meticulously designed system to concentrate wealth and drain the purchasing power of those who sustain the real economy. For decades, global corporations bought up what once belonged to ordinary people: housing, land, essential services. Investment funds transformed entire neighborhoods into speculative assets, pushing families away from urban centers and making the basics, housing, eating, and living, more expensive. Meanwhile, easy credit became a gilded trap. Banks expanded limits, granted loans, and encouraged consumption as proof of success. But when the wheels stopped turning, debt became the new foundation of modern slavery. The middle class has become the product, Their working hours fuel record profits for companies that advertise growth, even as they lay off thousands. Every interest rate hike, every ambiguous tax policy, and every corporate decision serves the same purpose: ensuring that citizens continue to pursue a standard of living that the system has already made impossible. The machinery is precise, almost invisible. The big players continue to profit, and the people continue to believe the problem is individual, when in fact it's architectural. It's the kind of crisis that doesn't need wars or revolutions to assert itself. The collective silence of those who have given up questioning is enough. But if the manipulation is so profound, what will happen when the last foundations of this system begin to crumble? The next minute shows what's already coming, and why no one seems prepared for it. What was once merely an economic imbalance has become a domino effect that is beginning to redraw the social map of the United States. Mid-sized cities, which for decades symbolized stability, now display empty storefronts and streets with more eviction signs than job advertisements. Small industries, stifled by taxes and foreign competition, are quietly closing, leaving behind entire neighborhoods devoid of purpose. The land of abundance, which once exported dreams, now imports despair. In the suburbs, disguised unemployment is on the rise. Part-time workers juggling 2 or 3 jobs to make ends meet. Large metropolises, once hubs of opportunity, have become laboratories of inequality, where the luxury of a few contrasts with the emotional collapse of many. Collective exhaustion is already visible in mental health statistics, suicide rates, and the growing number of people medicated to cope with their daily routine. But perhaps the most alarming consequence isn't on the streets, but in the homes still inhabited. Families disintegrate under the weight of insecurity. Marriages break up over unpaid bills, and parents lie awake nights calculating debts that will never end. The fear of tomorrow is no longer a sensation. It has become a constant presence, a shadow that lingers over breakfast and accompanies every bank call. The signs are everywhere, but few want to see them, because accepting the truth means admitting that collapse isn't imminent. It's already begun. Do you believe the middle class can still be saved? Or do you think we're just witnessing the final chapters of an era? Share your views in the comments. What are you seeing changing where you live? Among the millions of numbers and graphs describing the collapse, there is one story that doesn't fit into the statistics. It's called Megan, is 42 years old, has 2 children, and the weary look of someone who has learned to survive on less each month. For almost 20 years, she worked in a clothing store in central Ohio, proud to pay her bills on time and maintain the same address. But when the rent tripled in less than 5 years, her salary stopped keeping up with the cost of living, and the home that once represented stability became a memory. Today, Megan lives in her car, parked behind a supermarket that closes at midnight. Sometimes she picks up extra shifts, other times she relies on donations from neighbors. There's no addiction, laziness, or carelessness, just a system that no longer wants her. She represents the new face of American poverty, people who did everything right, but were discarded by a model that only rewards the top. While politicians promise recovery, Megan heats water on a portable stove and silently repeats that she still believes in a new beginning. Her story is a stark portrait of what happens when a country chooses statistics over empathy. Have you ever met someone who, despite working hard, lost everything? Share your story in the comments. Perhaps your story will reflect the reality that many still refuse to see. The latest reports reveal a statistic that should echo as a national alarm. More than 60% of Americans don't have even $1,000 available in case of emergency. Nearly 70% of the population lives in debt, and 1 in 4 young adults has returned to their parents' home because they can't pay rent. These cold and impersonal figures paint a picture of a collapse that has already surpassed the limits of what is bearable. Inequality has soared to unprecedented levels, while billionaires expand their fortunes in the midst of a crisis. The average worker sees their purchasing power fall back to 1985 levels. With each increase in housing and food prices, the gap between those who accumulate wealth and those who merely survive also widens. The middle class, once the mainstay of the economy, has become a vanishing statistic, Amid rising interest rates, families spend more than a third of their income just on housing. And yet, headlines celebrate economic growth. It's the kind of contradiction that turns numbers into weapons of distraction, masking a reality that no longer fits into optimistic rhetoric. These indicators don't just represent the economy, they represent lives squeezed between debt and despair. Behind each percentage lies a face, a name, and a story that the system prefers to ignore. But what if these numbers are just the surface, a prelude to something much bigger yet to come? The next minute reveals the final warning, the point at which the collapse ceases to be a statistic and becomes a collective sentence. What happens when the middle class ceases to exist, when there are no longer any consumers, no longer any producers, or no longer any belief that hard work is enough? What is forming before the world's eyes is a social divide so profound that it threatens the very idea of balance. Without the common citizen, the system loses its axis, and when the center collapses, the entire country tilts toward the abyss. Economists describe this moment as an inevitable reconfiguration. But behind the euphemism, what's really at stake is the moral and structural bankruptcy of a nation that has forgotten the value of dignity. Silent inflation erodes not only prices, but also the sense of the future. Faith in honest work is eroded, and fear replaces trust as the primary motivating force. Modern America is beginning to resemble what it once feared, an empire built on inequality and despair. The silence of those still resisting is more revealing than any economic data. There is no revolt, there is resignation. And it is precisely this silence that portends the true danger, when the people give up on believing that anything can change. The collapse is no longer just material. It is psychological, social, and spiritual. And its march continues, even without applause, even without noise. But one final question remains. What remains of a country when even hope becomes a luxury? The next minute concludes this journey with the reflection that many avoid. But everyone needs to hear. Collapse rarely arrives with explosions or alarmist headlines. It sets in slowly, in the silence of routines, in interrupted conversations, in the small concessions people make every day to continue existing within a system that no longer recognizes them. America, once a symbol of prosperity and freedom, has become a nation divided between those who still believe in the dream and those who have already awakened from it. The end of the middle class is not just an economic issue. It is the disappearance of the thread that sustained collective hope. When workers stop believing that effort is rewarded, when dignity is exchanged for survival, when merit becomes inherited privilege, collapse ceases to be a possibility and becomes a condition. The factories remain standing, the buildings still shine at night, but inside, everything seems empty. The country that once taught the world to believe in a better tomorrow now teaches the price of ignoring the signs. The true end of a civilization begins when people stop feeling and simply function. And perhaps that's what we're witnessing, not the collapse of an economy, but the exhaustion of a collective soul. The collapse doesn't start when everything ends. It starts when everyone stops caring. If this video made you reflect on what is happening around you, like it, comment your opinion, and subscribe to the channel. Discover American Geographic. We need to talk about what the world insists on silencing before that silence becomes permanent.